All right, so for our reading lesson today, we are going to be talking about forms of poetry. So we know that a poem or poems are usually what genre? Almost always. What genre are they? Anybody? Anybody? What genre are poems? Emily, what genre?
Fiction.
Say it. What? I missed it.
Fiction.
Fiction, right? Our poems are almost always fiction. And the reason they're fiction is because our authors, the reason they write poems is to entertain us, right? They write poems to entertain us. They're not writing poems to teach us facts. They're writing poems to entertain us, okay? So we are going to look at different forms of poetry. So what that means is that there's different types, kind of. So this doesn't necessarily go along with the fiction, nonfiction thing, the genres. This is just so, I don't know if y'all remember yesterday when I was filming my lesson, if you watched it, and I talked about this poem that we did, right? And I told you it was free verse. Does anybody remember why I told you it was free verse? I've said this word before. Walter, do you remember why I said it was free verse?
Because it's like there's no rhyming words.
There's no rhyming words, right? There's no rhyming words to this poem, so it made it free verse. So this is a type of poem that our authors can write. Walter, make sure you mute yourself. Thank you. So this is a type of poem that our authors can write. So there's 4 different types that we potentially can see on test, or we could see while we're reading. So I want to go over those 4 types. So the first one is free verse. Okay. So the first one is free verse, which is what I showed you yesterday. The next one is narrative. Okay. The next one is lyrical. Then the last one is humorous. So let's think about these, okay? Let's think about these. So free verse, let's look at that one first. Ali, what was the very first thing we just said? How did we know it was free verse?
Because there was no rhymes.
There was no rhymes, right? There was no rhymes.
Also, on the poem test, there was a question about humorous.
About what?
And you the humor. Remember the poem test yesterday? Yeah, this. That was on the quiz, and I didn't get it because you didn't really teach us that.
What is, Ali, what does humorous mean?
I learned by the quiz. It means funny, I think.
Uh-huh. That's why I left that. I was going to take that question off the quiz, but I left it because if you know what the word humorous means, I made the answer choices to where there's only one answer choice that made sense. Right?
Or you could just use a dictionary.
Or yes, you could have used a dictionary. But there was only one answer choice that made sense because we know that humorous means silly or it means funny. Okay? All right. So free verse is no rhyming words. It has no set line length. So free verse means that there's no, a really good way that I like to put free verse is that basically there's no rules. Free verse kind of does what it wants. It doesn't listen to any of the rules of poetry. It kind of does whatever it wants. It doesn't listen to any of the normal rules. And then free verse is a way of conveying thoughts. So the big thing I want you to think with free verses is no rules, okay? So when you're thinking about free verse, there's no rules. Free verse does what it wants. It is free. It does not listen to anybody else. So some examples, we've actually read, I think, 2 examples of free verse. See if I can find the other one. Maybe not. Never mind. Maybe I only have 1. I know we've read 2 of them, but I don't know where the other one went. All right. Well, we read this one yesterday, right? And we know that this one is free verse because we know it doesn't have any rhyming words. There's no set line length that goes all the way to 22. And there's words, right? There's only 1 word on each line. It's not even in sentences. And then this is kind of just a way of conveying or saying the idea of what? What was the idea of this poem? What does that word say? Anybody? Zane, what does that word say?
Snow.
No, right? So this poem was kind of the event conveying or sharing the idea of snow falling from the sky. Okay. All right. Thank you, Zane. So now let's look at narrative. So when I say the word narrative, what are you thinking? When I say the word narrative, Emily, what are you thinking when I say the word narrative?
It's when you tell a story.
Good. It's when you tell a story, right? Because we're writing actually personal narratives right now in writing. So a narrative is it tells a story. So that's what we're doing right now. We're writing our own personal narrative stories. And so when you're reading a narrative poem, it's going to tell you a story. And it's going to almost always have a rhyme. Almost always, meaning sometimes. Sometimes it might not rhyme. Sometimes it might follow these free verse rules. But most of the time it's going to rhyme. The big thing though with narrative though is that it has characters, setting, conflict, and plot, okay? So there's going to be a problem. There's going to be a resolution. It's going to tell you a whole story. So the big thing with narrative I want you to remember is story, okay? So we read a narrative. I can't find the one that I did, but y'all remember reading this? The Terrible Thing About Sydney? Yeah, some people. What did Sydney do? Walter, what did Sydney do? She
kicked me, punched the boy in the stomach.
She punched him in the stomach, right? She punched him in the stomach because he tried to take her lunch. Would you say that that's a problem? That he tried to take her lunch? Oh yeah, thumbs up, right? That is a problem that he tried to take her lunch. So she punched him. That was her way of solving the problem. So there's characters, there's Sydney, there's the boy, there's a conflict, right? There's a setting. I think it took place at school. So the terrible thing about Sydney would be considered a narrative poem, right? Because it's telling us a story. It tells us a story. All right. Next one. All right, Ollie. Humorous. What does that make you think of?
Funny.
Funny, right? Humorous makes you think of funny. So humorous is funny. So when you see humorous, I want you to think funny. Okay? When you see humorous, I want you to think funny. Humorous is funny, can be silly, and can rhyme. Okay? So humorous is when a poem is funny, it can be silly, and it can rhyme. basically the author wrote it as kind of just entertainment, okay? The author wrote it for entertainment. So let's think about this one. I remember we read this one about the boy who doesn't want to get sick. So could you say that this is a humorous poem? Because is this kind of funny when he's telling you like, oh, I don't want to get sick, stay away from me, back off. He's got this big mask on. Would y'all say that's kind of a silly poem? Okay, I've got some thumbs up. So I would say this is a humorous poem, right? It's pretty silly because the boy is like, he's got this mask on, he's got gloves on, and he's like, hey, stay away from me. I don't want to get sick. He says, cover your mouth when you yawn, like don't cough on me. So he's being very, very silly in this poem. And then I have one more. And then what about this one? Would you say this one is kind of a silly poem too?
Yeah.
It is, right? Because it's talking about raking leaves and then he jumps into the leaves. Could you also, though, call this a narrative poem? Emily, could you call it a narrative poem?
Yes.
Why? What does it have?
Because it's hold on.
Oh, you're good.
It tells a story.
It tells a story, right? It tells a story of this boy jumping into this pile of leaves, right? So this poem is kind of a double, what I like to call kind of a double dipper. It kind of goes into the humorous form of poetry and the narrative because it's telling you a story, but it's also pretty silly. So, and there we will get a lot of poems that'll kind of do both. So you're going to have to kind of really think about, all right, which one is this? How does this really fall under? Or what does this really fall under? All right, and then our very last one. Let's see if someone can help me. It is lyrical. If I say lyrical, what do you think that means? Lyrical. Maybe like lyrics. If I say lyrics, what do you usually see lyrics in? What do you usually see lyrics in? Nathan, what do you usually see lyrics in?
Like songs? And like songs.
In songs. So lyrical, I want you to think of songs, okay? So usually lyrical poems are usually songs. They're lyrical. So they express strong feelings like a song, and they can rhyme. Okay, so lyrical is usually a type of song. So we haven't read this one yet, but if I show it to you, because you might recognize it. Did y'all recognize that song? It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine, she's here, and you can take my breath away because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Y'all know that song? I know y'all know that song.
No, I don't.
Some people don't know it? All right. Well, so this is Happy by Pharrell Williams, right? So this is a lyrical poem, and the reason it's a lyrical poem is because it is actually a song, and it expresses strong feelings of being happy. It is a song. It says it's like a song, but it is a song, and it has parts that
I heard it.
okay? So look, this is it. Y'all remember it now, kinda?
Yeah.
It was really
Now I know it.
like a few years ago. Yeah. It was really popular a few years ago. It was in Despicable Me 2. Yes, Ellie.
Miss Keller.
Oh, hold on.
Aren't we supposed to read right now?
Yes, but can I finish the reading lesson first?
Okay.
Yes, Walter.
Did you know I watched all 3 Despicable Me 3 times?
Awesome, Walter. That is off topic. Yes, Emily.
Wait, I'll show you this during writing.
Okay. All right. So these are our 4 different forms of poetry. So we have free verse, no rules. We have narrative, tells a story. Humorous is funny, and lyrical is like a song. Okay. So you need to make sure, look at me, everybody, because I feel like some of y'all are not paying attention. You need to make sure you have these in your brain. Okay. Put them in your brain. Put them in your brain. Okay. Because I promise this won't be the last time that you see this. So put them in your brain. Okay. Put them in your brain. Because I promise you this won't be the last time you see this. Okay.
Perfect.
All right.
I took a photo of it.
Awesome. So I promise you this won't be the last time you see this. Yes, Bella.
Are you gonna put it up or are you gonna throw it away? Because you said this is the last time that we're gonna see this.
No, I said this isn't
Come
the
back.
last time.
I heard you say this was.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I meant to say isn't if I said that.
Yeah, I heard that too.
This isn't. I probably didn't emphasize the isn't part. Isn't the last time. Okay. All right. So we're going to move into independent reading. So for independent reading, you are reading on Epic, or if you have books at your house, you're reading your books at your house, and you are going to be using your reading journal to make sure that you are taking or writing down something in your reading journal, like I did with Junie B. Jones. You can start writing down the events like I did, or you can do character traits, or you can do plot mountain, whatever you want to do, but you need to be doing something in your reading journal while you are reading. Got it? We're good? All right.